WNST.net. We are in parts unknown here in Baltimore County. Al Redmer's here. He is Republican running for Baltimore County executive, and full disclosure, I think I know you better than I know your opponent in this race.
We've known each other for a long time.
For a long time, and a sponsor in the insurance industry, and obviously served the state well many years ago. A couple weeks out, I'm going to give you the list of topics in a moment, but what do you hear the most about as you traverse the county and embrace the whole county is something you haven't run for before?
So, when it comes to communities, every community is a little bit different. Every community has different needs. So that changes a little bit from neighborhood to neighborhood, but the issues that permeate throughout the county are safety and crime issues. We've seen an uptick in violent acts over the last few weeks. And the other issue is education. And then finally, the other issue is more in our part of the county and southwest Baltimore County, but that's the fact that there are a lot of neighborhoods that believe that they've been neglected for years, which leads to quality of life issues. I say this all the time. I drive through neighborhoods every day, including my own, where I see living in Middle River, where I see conditions that are allowed to exist in a community that would never, ever be tolerated in other neighborhoods. So we generally need to clean up Baltimore County, the crime, the gangs, trash, rats, dilapidated housing, the whole deal.
Well, I went through and I asked people last week, I said, give me a topic list to talk to county executives about. And I went through the whole list and I put this up on Instagram the other day. You ready for this? And these are global things. This isn't a pothole on York Road or what's going on at Johnny Cake. This is integrity, culture, crime, economy, middle class, democracy, empathy, constitution, respect, viability, jobs, education, healthcare, taxes, roads, teachers, budgets, honesty, cannabis, racism, murders, violence, gangs. I think they're all the same. Opportunity, illegals, parenting, safety, human rights, police, EMT, first responders, accountability, transparency, bipartisanship, and corruption. I would have put corruption at the top. Like the number one thing I want, integrity's number one, and corruption was the bottom. And this was literally just a list on Facebook. There's no,
it's fascinating. But if you talk to county employees, and I don't care where they work in Baltimore County, what we hear constantly is that Baltimore County is run through cronyism, fear, intimidation, and retribution. So there is a culture problem in Baltimore County. The employees recognize it, and it's something that has to change. And I can tell you, under a Redmer administration, it will change and change on day one.
Give me the thoughts globally of what it means to have an R in front of your name at this point, because I think there's that comes with all that Donald Trump exhibits, right? I mean, I'm a registered Democrat. I'm not voting in the county. I'm voting in the city. I live in the city. I think for anyone in the country, the identity politics on both sides. And you have I came into your office. You've got the county divided up into blue, red, pink, purple, baby blue, and the whole world's divided that way. And it's not just the way you're running your campaign or your competitor. It's the way politics works in our country. And I don't know that the forefathers kind of had that all set up that whatever it said, if it says blue, you have to be all of this, or you walk the middle of being a little too red, or vice versa.
For the most part, I find that to be completely irrelevant in Baltimore County. I've been traveling around the county now for over a year. I've been in every neighborhood, in every district, and the name Donald Trump has come up a handful of times.
It should.
Right. Not to say that they're not concerned about him or not, but in Baltimore County government issues, it's irrelevant. People will ask about the governor, but they're more concerned about the crime in Baltimore County and how we can address it, the deterioration of public education in Baltimore County and how we'll deal with it, or the culture issues of cronyism and fear and intimidation and how we'll deal with it. They're really not interested in my take or my opponent's take in national politics. It just really has not resonated.
I'm interested in it, though. If I for anybody I'm voting for, I want to know how you feel about Donald Trump. I mean, just in general,
Sure.
it has an R in front of it.
Yeah.
The typical thing would I'm gonna vote on all the if I'm voting for Hogan, I mean your signs say Hogan. If you love Hogan, you'll love me, kind of sort of.
Well,
right?
and there's the difference there. The difference is when you're county executive, you have to work with the governor on a regular basis. If you're the governor, you have to work with the president on a regular basis. But if you're county executive, you will never, ever work with the president under any circumstances. So my relationship with Governor Hogan is a great relationship. He's been a personal friend for 25 years. I've been a member of his cabinet.
I remember when you were
for
campaigning for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was no belief that he could win.
That's exactly
Literally.
right.
I mean, I remember having conversations with you saying, let me know the next time a Republican governor, not named Ehrlich. And, here we are again. And, I think all beliefs are that he could or will win in a couple of weeks as well, and has done a good job running the state. I mean,
he has, but the relationship that the county executive has with the governor is relevant. There's just no connection between who the county executive and who the president is. Now,
are you comfortable in saying that there are things that happen that the president do that you don't agree with?
Oh, sure, absolutely. There will be things over the next 4 years as county executive. There will be things that the governor will probably do that I won't agree with. Now, the difference is we'll have those conversations in private. Where we will disagree at certain points and times, but at the end of the day, you can disagree with folks and be without being disagreeable. We've got an excellent relationship, and I will work closely with him, advocating for the needs and the people of Baltimore County.
I disagree with him sometimes, but we're not going to be disagreeable.
That's right.
It's Al Redmer here. He's running for Baltimore County Executive on the Republican side. By all means, whatever you do, vote for him, vote for his opponent, vote for any. Just vote. Everybody should get out and vote and be part of the process here. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm into this and trying to talk to all of you, get to know you a little bit, because I think there is this gotcha thing, and obviously the debates that go on. I think at heart, you want good things. Your opponent, everybody wants what they believe in, and everybody's vested in the county. Why are you doing this at this point, having been down at the State House and having been involved? I mean, you could have stayed as insurance commissioner. I made a call to you when you were, and you were very helpful to me. And I would say the same thing for. I've never had a problem with local government getting stuff done, but people know who I am. So I pick up the phone and tell them I might say something on the radio. They go a little crazy. But just in general, people, I don't know that there's anybody who thinks they have an awesome government that feels like they run down to the steps and get what they want from their government. I think it's sort of an American tradition to bitch about the government. Right. No matter who's running it, right?
Sure. Why I'm doing this, I'm 62 years old. I've served my community as a volunteer literally since I was a teenager. I've operated large businesses and small. I've started businesses from scratch, served 13 years in the House of Delegates, and currently serve as the State Insurance Commissioner, where I lead an organization of 240 employees and a $32 million budget. And I sit back at the time, 61 years old, and I look at the needs in Baltimore County and what I think is going well and where the challenges are. I look at my background and experience, believe that I can serve my community well. I looked at the folks that were preparing to run on the Democrat side, none of whom had any experience running large organizations. And I believe then, and I believe now, that at this unique moment of time in our history, with the billions of unmet needs, the billions of dollars of debt, the financial challenges that we have. Just in March, Moody's, the bond rating house, put Baltimore County on a watch list. That AAA bond rating that we enjoy is at risk. So with these complicated challenges that we have, I think at this unique moment of time, I'm uniquely qualified to lead Baltimore County as opposed to any of the other candidates that we're running, including my opponent. And at 62 years of age, I'm not doing this because I want to be governor or run for Congress or anything else. I just look at this as an opportunity to serve my community over the next few years before I ride off into the sunset and harass my grandchildren.
Was it something you thought about when you were serving in delegates?
Never. No, because at the time...
It's a different kind of... This is an administrative job, and the House of Delegates is more More political.
Well, no, it's in the legislature is the legislative branch. You're representing 100 and some thousand people, but at the time, in addition to being in the House of Delegates, I was in business. I had a business to operate, and did not want to be in a position where I had to sell my business in order to become or serve as county executive.
People have come to me about talking about running for mayor, and I would consider running for mayor. But what happens to my business?
Well,
that's a whole different thing as to whether once you're committed to one job and you get paid $175,000 a year,
right.
That's your job, and everything else goes on hiatus, right? You become a professional politician, at least for that period of time, right?
And the difference is when I became insurance commissioner, I had to sell my business. So I made the decision to sell my business in 2015. So I did not have that hurdle to run for county executive.
So that wouldn't have been something 15 years ago you would have considered because of your business.
No, that's exactly right. I had younger children. Was serving in the legislature and being in business at the same time. That was a lot to juggle, and I just did not want to disrupt any of that to become Baltimore County executive. But I'm at a different place in my life. I think I've got one more good run in serving my community, and I believe again I'm uniquely qualified at this point in time to lead Baltimore County as we try to correct the challenges that exist.
Al Redmer here. He is running for Baltimore County Executive. We're on WNST AM 1570, and I'm trying to get together with political candidates and talk about the world. I talk a lot about sports, but we'll take a little break from that for a couple months. In running a campaign, it's sort of a legacy thing, because your name was on, I lived out in Perry Hall. Your name was on stuff all the time. I was familiar with your name. I knew you were in the insurance business, and different from in running then from now in an era where social media. Hannah here, I knew her when she was a very young lady out at the barn. When I was doing shows out there in the '90s. But she's on her phone. She's on social media.
I want to talk about Hannah at the barn.
She was eating crabs over there. Is what she was doing. I mean, like all good Baltimore people were doing, eating crabs. But in the modern era, it's such a different animal. I would think
it is
that you don't even recognize running a campaign now versus then, and obviously the flipping part of this, when I'm from Dundalk. This is, by the way, my Dundalk Ireland shirt, but Dundalk was all Democratic, and now when I look on a chart, it's gone from blue to red based on I would think the perception that someone wasn't serving them, for whether it's the president, whether it's the governor, whether it's locally, what it means to be a Democrat, and my dad working at the point in the 80s, what it means to be a Republican right now if you're not agreeing with some of the more nationalistic policies of the man in Washington, D.C., but you have to vote along those lines because you get two colors here. You get blue or red, right? Pretty much.
Well,
in most places.
But those days are gone. I mean, the folks that the days of Democrats voting for nothing but Democrats and Republicans voting for nothing but Republicans, those days have been gone for a while. We have an electorate now that's much more sophisticated. They're much more thoughtful about the decisions that they make. So if folks still voted only along party lines, Bob Ehrlich would have never been governor. Larry Hogan would have never been governor.
It's 2-1 in the county, right?
About that.
So if everyone comes out and votes party lines, you don't have a chance.
That's exactly right, and that was part of the decision-making process. But again, understanding where we are. If you look at my opponent, he was clearly the most liberal candidate in the Democrat primary, and while Baltimore County is very Democrat, they're not very liberal. And we can start with your hometown of Dundalk. They're not liberal at all, as a matter of fact. So we have many volunteers that were supporting Vicki Almond in the primary that are now supporting me. Many volunteers and supporters that were supporting Jim Brochin in the primary, they're now supporting me.
Your campaign, you want to be more center
absolutely,
than right.
Sure. It's all about, it's not about being right, it's not about being left, it's about solving the problems in Baltimore County. And the big contrast, if you will, between my opponent and I, he wants to come out and spend $2 billion on new initiatives, the same initiatives supported by Ben Jealous. And Ben Jealous has acknowledged it would take a tax increase. My opponent has not. Rather than spending new money on new things, my approach is we need to figure out what we're supposed to do, and let's do that correctly. We're currently over 100 police officers short in Baltimore County. I believe we need to get the police officers on the street that we need, and solve the issue of increasing crime. In education, my opponent wants to spend money on new free community college. At the same time, 50% of the students that currently graduate need remedial education to get into college. So we're not educating the kids that we currently have in the system. So rather than doing new things with new money, I want to double down and focus on those services that the county should be delivering, do it more efficiently, effectively, and cost effectively before we think about expanding the scope of government and doing new things.
Al Redmer's here, Baltimore County executive candidate. Get out and vote on November 6th. We'll step out, we'll take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to get to some crime and some education and, I don't know, the law.